this evening. It's a great pleasure to be here again. I was last here for a moving service of remembrance on Remembrance Sunday on November the 11th, or thereabouts. And so it's nice to be back here again. I am Vice Chairman of the Dresden Trust, and I came to join the Trust because I have a German mother. I had a German mother. She's died a few years ago. But I was born and brought up in Britain and had a British father. But I also had frequent contacts with Germany through my mother's family and through working later when I was grown up as a foreign correspondent in East Berlin. I was always a bit sort of nagged by this feeling that I had this sort of slightly schizophrenic background. It didn't sort of trouble me enormously, but it sort of gave like a bit of sand in my sort of conscience, and for reasons which I'll explain in a moment. And in order to sort of get this out, I wrote this book, which John mentioned, A Foot in Both Camps, A German Past for Better and for Worse. And I sought to come to terms with this by writing this book. So my mother became an adult in 21 in Germany in the same year that Hitler came to power. She was expelled from her art school in Hamburg for refusing to go to Nazi rallies. She then met my father, moved to England, married, and became a British citizen on the eve of the Second World War. In 1940, when my father had been called up into the British Army, she kept a pot of pepper open in her kitchen to throw into the eyes of the German soldiers when they came to fetch her, as they surely would have if Britain had been invaded. It may seem a futile gesture, but she had held on to her values. She was standing up for what she believed. And 5 years later, she had won. The Nazis were defeated, and she was able to live the rest of her life in England as she wanted. Her belief was that after war should come peace. And that meant taking her British children to meet her family in Germany. I delighted in kind aunts and uncles, and I had cousins of my age to play with. But I was ill at ease when I discovered after a time that one of my German uncles had been a Nazi. My mother swept this fact under the carpet. For her, the family was all important, and what had happened in the past, we didn't need to talk about. And the German aunt insisted to me that she knew nothing of the concentration camp, which was just near her home near Hamburg. And I was not satisfied with this. I didn't feel comfortable with failing to acknowledge an awkward reality. My mother held the majority of the German people responsible for supporting Hitler and following him into a cruel war. After all my researches for my book, I came to the same conclusion, as do successive German chancellors. Yet, teenage holidays with my German relatives taught me fluent German, and that, in the middle of the Cold War, helped me to get a job as a journalist with Reuters, the news agency. At the age of 27, I thus found myself behind the Berlin Wall as the only Western correspondent living on the communist side of the city. It was a time when Willy Brandt was defying the Cold War hostility in Europe by proclaiming détente. At a time when everybody else was talking war, he said, "No, I'm going to make peace." He asked for forgiveness from the Soviet Union and other East European countries for the war crimes and other atrocities which the Germans had committed, and he offered them generous financial aid. There he is on your mantelpiece. He came here too. And like many other people, I was electrified by a photo of Brandt kneeling in atonement at the memorial to the Jewish ghetto in Warsaw. This German attitude to war guilt, frankly acknowledging it, has not changed since then. In Dresden, on the 70th anniversary of the bombing 2 years ago, Mayor Helmer Orosch said, "Dresden was no innocent city. German President Joachim Gauck added, "We Germans know who started this murderous war." Germany is now the pacifist country at the heart of Europe, and the continent's source of stability. Angela Merkel is low-key, open, and friendly to foreigners. One can't imagine a German leader more different from Hitler. So when I visited Dresden in 2008, I asked myself, do these people now deserve to be treated as friends rather than one-time enemies? The Royal Air Force destroyed much of Dresden in February 1945 by creating a firestorm which left over 20,000 people dead and the old historic centre in burning ruins. Like many British people, I had deep misgivings over the morality of this massive bombing of civilian populations. Yet I had an uncle who was shot down and killed in another raid on another German city, fighting for his country in a war started by Germans. Was I not proud of his sacrifice? When I came to sign the visitor's book in the magnificent rebuilt Frauenkirche, the Church of Our Lady in Dresden, I felt I had to make up my mind. I wrote, "I am British. I am sorry my people destroyed this beautiful church. It should never have happened." I was relieved as I left the church. I still had a foot in both camps, but I knew where I stood. Subsequently, I was invited to join the Dresden Trust, which after the fall of the Berlin Wall raised over £1 million to help rebuild the Frauenkirche. The golden orb and cross on top of the cupola were made by craftsmen in Britain, one of them the son of a bomber pilot who took part in the 1945 attack. The Duke of Kent is the Trust's royal patron, and a very active one at that, and the Queen made a private donation to the fund. The purpose of the Dresden Trust has been to bring reconciliation between the people of Britain and Dresden, to help rebuild what Britain's destroyed, to create friendship where there was once enmity, to share what is common in our cultures, and to stand up for values of openness and togetherness. In this, we feel close to Coventry's own movement for reconciliation, inspired by the words "Father, forgive," spoken in the smouldering ruins of Coventry Cathedral the day after it was destroyed by German bombers. Coventry reconciles by forgiving attackers, while the Dresden Trust seeks to make amends to people who suffered dreadfully under our own assault. The Dresden Trust's main work of helping to rebuild the Frauenkirche is complete. Amongst other things, we are now co-financing a green area in the main square outside the church and organising a scholar scheme enabling school children from the Dresden area to spend time in British schools. In the light of Brexit and the rise of populism over the past year, we feel we should not let up now. In fact, we feel we should redouble our efforts. Now it is not only a matter of achieving reconciliation. We need to strengthen bridges which are being weakened, and to reinforce tolerance and friendship among peoples who have drawn together but are now being forced apart again. We need to stand up for common values we share, Britons and Germans. The Dresden Trust attracts attention and sympathy because of the particular awfulness of the attack in February 1945, the morality of which was questioned as soon as it was carried out. Through the Dresden Trust, the British people have shown they have a conscience, that victors can have doubts about how they achieved their ends, even in a just war, and can seek to make amends. We aim to show that humanity triumphs in the end. That this still touches British hearts is shown by the steady flow of donations we continue to receive. Coventry's movement for reconciliation has its own special appeal. The idea of asking Christian forgiveness for enemies in the midst of desolation that they have caused is immensely powerful. So too is the community of the Cross of Nails, as is, of course, the splendid new cathedral, which represents the will to rise up again against the forces of hatred. When I attended the service here last Remembrance Day, I was struck that Dean John spoke the Lord's Prayer in German in respect for a visiting delegation for Dresden. As Vice Chairman of the Dresden Trust, I must say I deeply admire this gesture of friendship across peoples and languages. As we face currents of opinion which are again hostile to such togetherness, I feel the time has perhaps come for Coventry and the Dresden Trust to collaborate in defending our common values. Can we join in speaking occasions, jointly organise conferences and panel discussions, or undertake activities in Dresden? Can we jointly sponsor cultural events which convey our aspirations? On a modest scale, we may be able to contribute funding to such common undertakings. Of course, Coventry and the Dresden Trust will continue to do much independently. But Coventry's links with Dresden are long-standing, and our activities potentially represent a good fit. At a time when our values are being threatened, I suggest we should stand shoulder to shoulder. Many people in our country share our views about friendship across borders, but we need to hold fast together and set an example which can inspire others. You may have your own ideas how this could be done, and I'll be glad to hear them. In the meantime, I'd just thank you again for your kind reception. It's been a pleasure to share with you my personal journey to take up the cause of reconciliation.